don't forget about property taxes and adjust your budget accordingly. This is important. There are certain areas of town, let's say South Salem, for example, very desirable side of town. You're going to see the highest average home price in South Salem. You're also going to see the highest property taxes. So that's something we can discuss with you, but know kind of an idea of property taxes in your head, what different side of town is highest and lowest, because that could affect where you're wanting to look.
What's unique about your budget and what you can simply afford is your lender's going to lay it all out there. And usually your property taxes do come into play. A lot of people don't realize that until they end up talking with their lender and saying, this is what my monthly mortgage I can afford and I'm comfortable to spend on my mortgage. Well, the property taxes are generally going to reflect something. What's cool is when you're using us as a realtor, by the way, it's absolutely free for us to be searching properties, sending you properties, and booking these showings and then submitting offers for you. Yeah. But what's really unique is in all of my property searches, I have very unique qualifications that I can submit and put in, so only those homes that you qualify for will be sent to you, or I'm reviewing and then sending them off individually to you. So there are unique features in all of our property search settings to where it's going to be unique for every buyer. Not every buyer is the same. Not everybody's qualified for the same purchases. Not everybody can afford a $10,000 property tax bill. I know I can't, so I don't want to. Yeah. And that's the cool part about using a realtor. It's a free service. Use us while you got us, and we'll represent you well. Very, very well.
Last but not least, the last question to ask yourself is, what is the first step to relocating to Oregon and buying a house? That would be shoot us an email or inquire through our website. I will put those both in the description below. We will get back to you right away, and we will get like I said, a Zoom call or a phone call, whatever is best for you, set up on the schedule and talk about the next steps and get all your questions answered. And we can't wait to hear from you. West Salem has great schools, lower home prices than, South Salem, for example.
Different
so
county.
It's a good place to live. Yes.
And, I could relate this question, not just simply for Salem specifics. I mean, I got clients, they work in the hospital districts. I mean, the IT departments, the tech industry, and they say, Spence, I don't want to live dead center, central Portland, or just where the city center is because that's my workplace. I'm happy driving within a 40 to 45 minute distance to work, because if you're traveling across from a different state, sometimes that's not abnormal to you. You got different traffics. Yes, the mileage is different, but you're not sitting in traffic. And that's one thing we get to brag about being here in Oregon is the traffic. I wouldn't say is bad. There's always a side road. There's always another GPS route. Make sure to have your GPS on, and it can get you on a different highway route, just like I would assume you're already doing where you currently live. Yeah. But there are outskirts cities, and that's what I do love. And these outskirts cities have everything that you need shopping-wise, banking-wise. I mean, it's very convenient, especially if you're circling the perimeter of Salem or the perimeter of Portland. I mean, there's a lot of great options, and usually these options come because of the price budget. It's just the simple facts. It's usually a little bit less expensive when you talk about real estate. What can you get more of for the less amount of money? And that's why these outer skirt cities are sometimes more important for you guys, our buyers, to look into buying when moving to Oregon to work specifically in the capital or in the city in Portland or Roseburg, for instance. There's always an outskirt city, and that's what we're recommending. And there's opportunity out there still.
And that's another reason why hopping on a Zoom call or even a phone call with us is going to be really beneficial, because that's one of the things that we do discuss is, I get to hear from you guys what it is that you're looking for and where you're coming from and what you kind of expect in an area. And then we can kind of let you know what to expect about all these other towns, because, it's important when you're not going to see the place until after you buy the house.
Well, it's been him and his girlfriend's dream to live in Oregon, specifically the Portland area. So there's realities for people, though. They really want to be here in Oregon. I don't know if it's the adventure side, the parks and recs, the seasons, the job opportunities. Who knows? But it's their dream, and they were from the Bay Area, which is by far more expensive than, any other parts of this country on the West Coast that I would suggest.
That's what I was just going to say is that area in California, like the Bay Area, San Francisco, whatever, is so much more expensive than Portland. I know everyone in Oregon always talks about how expensive Portland is, because if you compare it to Salem, for example,
that was my thought
it's
process.
so much more expensive. We think it's expensive looking at houses in Salem.
Literally,
however,
like 2 times.
For being a city on the West Coast, I believe it is or at least one of the most affordable cities on the West Coast. If you compare it to Seattle, it's cheaper. Like, it's definitely for the area. So it all depends on where you're coming from.
Within the last 2 years, they've just had this name. They've been in the riots are still there on conversation. They're not taking place anymore. But every time I talk about Portland with somebody not from Oregon, hey, how's the riots? Is homeless population.
Do you work in? So we, like I said earlier, my husband and I are a real estate team. We work with a lot of relocation clients, people moving to our area from all over. We really, really love it. We serve Salem, Oregon, and anywhere in the surrounding areas, basically about an hour out from Salem in all directions. So that does cover quite a bit of land. I'll just give a few examples of some of the places where a lot of our buyers are choosing to move to right now, in case you're wanting to look up some of these places and see if they might be a good fit for you, because a lot of our buyers have never been to the area and don't know much about the area. So maybe these are some towns you want to research. Salem, obviously, Albany, Dallas, Monmouth, Independence, Woodburn, Silverton. Albany is a huge one. Corvallis, even occasionally Eugene, Portland, Gresham, Beaverton, Hillsborough, West Lynn, Wilsonville. Kaiser is huge. We get a lot of clients moving to Kaiser, Oregon, all over Salem, West Salem, North Salem, South Salem. Like I said, Salem, Oregon, and then anywhere within an hour driving distance of Salem in all of the directions. So if that's you, if you're thinking about moving to somewhere in that area, we would love to work with you as well. I'm a first-time buyer looking to buy something, but is there some sort of house that I could buy that would like depreciate in value or just be a negative thing for me to buy, not a good financial decision? Well, I'm not a financial advisor. I am not a lender. There are definitely things I'm not allowed to talk about in those areas or even qualified to talk about. I am just a realtor. However, my best personal opinion or advice I could say on this would be careful with homes that are going to need a ton of work. They can very easily become a money pit. For example, I was showing a home a few days ago. It was listed at about $375,000, which in our market, that is well under the average sale price. There's not much out there at that price point. So as you can imagine, it was just flocked with showings. Every buyer out there was looking at it. And this house needed so much work, like an insane amount. It wasn't cosmetic, it was everything. And so my advice for someone in this situation as a home buyer would be try as hard as you can to ignore the things that are easily changed, like